What up, all you beautiful Misfits and Rejects out there? Thank you for joining me for episode 260 of Misfits and Rejects. Today's episode, you hear from me, your host, Chapin Kreuter. And before I get into the episode, I want to make a few announcements. First things first, I want to say thank you so much to all my Patreon supporters. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's a platform that creators like myself can put their content on, and people who like what we put up on YouTube or wherever we put up, like my podcast, can support us with a monthly donation. And right now, the donations that I'm getting are so helpful. They are helping me pay for the website hosting fees, all the editing tools I need to edit the podcast and make the sound quality good. And as well, in my current living situation in Mexico, it allows me to buy a few extra beers for the guest, or it allows me to buy a few extra groceries. Every month, seeing that little bit of extra income come in makes such a huge difference, and I'm so thankful to have my Patreon supporters right now. So I'd love to list them by name to say thank you. So a big thank you to Keith, John, Bob, Yazi, Wallace, Jen, and Jay. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. Can't imagine how nice it is every month to get that money coming into my account so I can continue to, again, sustain the podcast online and now sustain my life here in Mexico. It's really, really helpful. Thank you. If you'd also like to give a monthly donation to support Misfits and Rejects, I put a link in the show notes to my Patreon account. You can go check it out. Like I said, it's a monthly donation, $1, $5, $25, whatever you want. It's all appreciated. Nothing is expected. And if you would like to give just one donation, you can sign up, give that donation, and then cancel your subscription so it doesn't auto-renew every month. That's another way to approach it. So thank you again for considering it. You can head on over to patreon.com/Misfits and Rejects to check that out, or just click the link below. Also, on another note, if you remember from episode 252 with Jared Kett, the founder and CEO of Invert Containers, he has created a fully recyclable, fully compostable little pharmaceutical pill bottle with the same size you would get any type of antibiotics from your local pharmacy. And he's challenging the industry trying to create, again, recyclable, compostable containers. And I was fortunate enough a few years ago when he had his first round of funding to give him some money, because I really believed in the product and him as a founder and CEO, and can really see this company growing into something big, beautiful, that's going to help the world reduce the plastic that is being poured into the ocean and into the landfills. So recently, Jared and I were on a call, and he said he was going to open up a second round of funding, and if I knew anybody. And I thought, well, hey, I'll let you guys know if anybody out there listening or seeing this is a investor and would like to have an opportunity to get in early on a company that could potentially be something big. Again, it's risky. All these types of investment are always risky, but if you'd like to learn more about that, I will put a link in the show notes with my email that you can reach out to me, and I will send over the pitch deck to anybody who's interested so they can learn more about this opportunity. And yeah, it's really interesting to see how this has progressed over the last few years, and the various supplement companies, pharmaceutical companies, cannabis companies Invert has attracted due to the legislation that has recently passed, specifically in California, which mandates by 2032 that all materials, packaging materials in California need to be recyclable or compostable. So the industry is going to get turned upside down, and they're looking for alternatives. And Jared and Invert have positioned themselves in a really cool way. So if you're interested in that, again, I'll put a link in the show notes so you can reach out, and I will send you some more information on how you can participate and what the company is all about. And lastly, at the end of the episode, I share a few thoughts, and I think you'll be interested in hearing them. So stick around to the end. I'm not going to divulge them now, but they're just a few ideas I had on ways that we can connect, me and the audience, and we can do some cool things together. So stick around. And if you are interested in what I have to say, I'll leave my email again in the show notes in the description. And feel free to shoot me an email, and we can communicate via email or jump on a Zoom call, and we can brainstorm on how we can make these types of things happen. So really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that. Don't be shy to reach out. And with that said, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode with me, your host, Chapin Kreuter. Welcome to Misfits and Rejects, a podcast about the lifestyle design of expatriates, travelers, entrepreneurs, and adventurers. I'm your host, Chapin Kreuter. Enjoy.
I didn't fit in America.
With cocaine, there's just always too many guns and too many bad attitudes.
I quit the limiting stories.
Really try to overcome that fear.
And right there, for any of your listeners, a lot of what I was to do in the rest of my life was formulated by the fact I just went and did it. Goddamn.
Welcome to another episode of Misfits and Rejects. Today you are joined by me, your host, Chapin Kreuter. Hey folks, welcome back. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I'm happy to be here with you. Coming at you from Mexico. As I said 6 months ago, I plan to move to Mexico in the new year, and guess what? I did it. I moved in January 6th to be specific, landed, stayed with a friend for the first 2 months until I was able to find a house to move into, and have been here ever since trying to design the life that I've always dreamed of. As I mentioned in the last episode, which was episode 245, I came with a plan. I came with the idea that I was going to land, and I knew for a fact with 100% positivity that I was going to be able to make at least $200 to $400 a month online doing freelance work. I had made that previously while still living in the States, specifically on Upwork, trying to do voiceover work for various people who are advertising YouTube channels, so forth and so on Upwork. And came and just got to business just every day, sending out applications, scouring Upwork, and over time started seeing a pattern occur. Started noticing that I would get these individuals who were wanting to have an individual for about, I want to say like $10 an hour or less, $5 to $10 an hour, read a script that was essentially roughly 8 to 10 minutes long, and they were all kind of following this YouTube guy video who was claiming that they could make a lot of money creating content on YouTube. And this was the formula, essentially finding cheap labor on Upwork, having a script prepared that the individual would read myself, and then they would upload that and just, start paving the way to fortune and fame. And it didn't occur to me at the time because I'm not super into tech and the changing movements that are out there, but the pattern was pretty significant. The amount the individuals wanted to pay was so insignificant that I turned down pretty much everything. Not that I had many offers, but like 2 or 3 guys were like picked up on my voice and liked my voice, said, "Hey, let's do this. How much would you charge me?" And I charge my rates, which were like $25 an hour, and then they balked. They just would disappear. And it wasn't until I was corresponding with one of the last individuals. At this point, I'd sent out, a couple hundred applications, that there was a hiccup within the system, and I realized I was chatting with a bot. And it occurred to me that the individuals that I had been communicating with could have been bots as well, and that everybody was following the same script that they had found on this one YouTube guy's channel. And they were just stealing my voice, plugging it into AI, and I would never find them on YouTube. Because a lot of times they would ask for another sample. They would say, "Hey, it's between you and somebody else. Let's just make sure you're the right fit. Why don't you send us another sample of your voice?" And then I wouldn't hear from them again, or they would follow up and say, "Hey, we decided to go with the other guy or girl or whatever it was. Sorry, maybe next time." And it wasn't until this little bot that I realized I was dealing with had this hiccup that I thought to myself, "Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a high likelihood that people are just stealing my voice, running it through the various AI programs out there, and I'll never know." So I decided to do that for myself. I decided, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Let's dive into this and see what's going on. So I started doing the research, and you can imagine that now it was clear I probably wasn't going to make any money with the initial freelance work that I thought I was going to come down and get to utilize. And I had to come up with a new plan. And I was stressed. I mean, the amount of money I came down with, I had saved up, was about $6,000. Rent that I was paying monthly at my friend's house was, like $600 a month. And money was being burned very quickly, even though I'm in a very inexpensive place. It's just the time's ticking. And so I concocted this idea to utilize AI and start trying to figure out ways to generate income with AI. And so what I came up with was using ChatGPT to summarize books, and I would start what I'm calling famous book summary channel on YouTube, and then drive all that traffic to Audible, who gives a really nice affiliate commission if people sign up with your affiliate link. So I cloned my voice. I found a company that, clones your voice, and you can then just basically cut and paste ChatGPT's script into this voice cloning app, and then I read it, essentially. It reads it for me in my voice. And so I started uploading all these videos to YouTube, and at this point have had, roughly 1,000 views. I've got like 12 subscribers. I have like over 80 books at this point uploaded and summarized, and I had one conversion. One individual has used my affiliate link, and that pays me a commission of roughly like $15. So at this point now, I've been in Mexico about 4 months, a little over 4 months now, and made $15. So as you can see, this is a very hard process. All online entrepreneurship is. As you can imagine, anything new that you're starting doesn't instantly just blow up and become successful. As you have been listening probably throughout my whole journey, it's been mostly valleys, very few peaks of making money, but that's kind of where my head went as far as a new creative way to try to make income online. And so I also had to get very real with myself, because I knew this wasn't going to be the end all be all, and it takes a lot of time to build traction on YouTube. So simultaneously, I decided to pivot completely, and I have a friend here in Mexico who is a bookkeeper, and he encouraged me to learn QuickBooks and start trying to do books for friends and family who have small businesses or who do freelance. And so that was an interesting task, because learning in general is not the easiest thing for me, especially when it comes to things I've never had any interest in or used before. So it took me a solid, 100, 120 hours of using QuickBooks to start to grasp it. And at this point, I would say I'm proficient at it. I know each business has its own types of bookkeeping that it needs. So right now I'm just doing cash businesses, which is probably the easiest one, and always looking for a new client. So if anybody out there has a small business or is a freelancer, please hit me up, because I'm looking for a few more clients for 2023 as I continue down this path of bookkeeping, which I think is more realistic for me to move forward with as I try to live remotely and continue to try to move towards that digital nomad lifestyle, because obviously small businesses will always need bookkeepers if they're making enough money to incorporate that into their budget. And it's a skill set that I've always desired, actually, to be able to read financial statements. So this is kind of helping me in both ways, make money and learn how to read financial statements. So by no means am I making enough to really sustain myself here. I still have a little bit of savings left, and hopefully we'll turn that corner soon. But that is essentially what I've been doing since the last update. I mean, obviously last update was in October of 2022, and you heard me talking a lot about coming out of a depressive state of mind and what was helping me find more joy and happiness in my day to day. And that was the baking job that I took at the cookie bakery. And thinking back on that experience, I realized like how important it is to, one, take action, and two, try to find something that at least gives you a little bit of fulfillment. And then three, for me, location. I, again, have said this many past episodes, don't enjoy Southern California and the hometown I grew up in, but I absolutely love the places I've resided, such as Nicaragua and many of the places that my travels has taken me and John over the years, where we got to spend, a few months, 3 to 6 months at a time. I just really connected with these types of environments. And so Mexico being on my radar, after visiting a few friends a few years back, decided to make that move. And that process has been really interesting. And in many ways, I'm very proud of, where I find myself, because, I landed and a friend was kind enough to let me stay with him until I got on my feet. And I would not have found the house I'm living in now if it weren't for the network that he plugged me into and his kindness, and the network that I also surf with daily. And if you remember from episode 245, surfing was kind of creeping back into my life, and moving to where I live now, surfing was a huge motivation, again, to test and see if surfing could still be a passion of mine, something I was really motivated to do, because it is just such a healthy thing to do on a daily and have in my life. So coming here and really testing that. So for the last, I don't know specifically how many days, but definitely over 100, I've surfed, 99% of those days, every day, 2 to 4 hours. And that's been beautiful. I can't say that I have this tremendous fire lit inside of me again like I did when I was younger, where I was really motivated to get out there and try to progress as a surfer. But what I do have is the desire to commune with nature, get some exercise, and challenge myself. And that's been a really big, interesting lesson that seems to be connecting many dots throughout my past, is that I like a challenge. I like setting a goal that I know I have the capability of achieving. It's a lofty one, such as online entrepreneurship, but the challenge of learning the various things I need to excel at online entrepreneurship. And for me specifically now, with my new challenge of surfing, the wave is extremely challenging. It's very big, it's very dangerous, and it's very scary, and it's not a type of wave I was ever attracted to before, but it has all the variables of what I need in a challenge to really motivate me to go out there every day. And I'm being safe. I have what we call an impact suit for surfers and non-surfers out there who know what that is or don't. It's basically a suit with flotation in it. So I'll always come to the surface eventually. And I have a helmet. And I don't have the right size surfboards, I'm realizing. That's been interesting, just really having to come back to a place where a lot of the surf instruction I've given over the years, I'm having to take my own advice and go back to basics, which is assessing, do I have the right equipment? Am I riding the right size board for my ability and for the wave that I'm trying to surf? And the answer is no, I don't. And now I have to come up with a plan to make enough money to acquire the surfboards that are necessary to get myself out there. Luckily, I have a few waves in the area that I can access that allow me to at least, paddle out under extreme conditions that I just couldn't and wouldn't paddle out in, because I'm not equipped and I'm also not that confident with my abilities in those types of conditions yet. But so that's keeping me, out in the water daily. And the place is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's exactly what I hoped it would be and a lot more. The community of locals are absolutely incredible. The community of expats, which is really small, are beautiful people. Interesting. I've heard so many cool stories that hopefully one day I'll get to share with you, but these are the type of expats that aren't necessarily looking to share their stories or be found, if you will. So I will have to tread lightly, and hopefully some of them will at some point be willing to share their stories on Misfits and Rejects. But you might have heard the story, I forgot the exact episode, but it's a few back, like 3 or 4 back, of Chris. You know, he came into town, he's sailing towards the South Pacific. That was a really cool encounter, meeting him. This very fit, giant guy from Holland who is just a passion and a drive to sail his way to the South Pacific to surf uncrowded islands all throughout there. And yeah, my daily routine is, like I said, just waking up, getting down to the beach, surfing 2 to 4 hours, coming back, and really just jumping on the computer after a little bit of lunch and trying to work until, I always set the goal of trying to work till 8 or 9. The reality is that I lose focus around 6 or 7. And then some days I'll quit around 5. But, you know, I definitely try to always put in 4 to 6 hours at least, and always driving towards either, well, it depends on how desperate I feel, how desperate I'm feeling, and like how dire my situation is, in the sense that, like, some days I'll have complete panic attacks thinking like, this is never going to work. I'm never going to figure out a way to make money online. And I'll start just applying for jobs on LinkedIn and Indeed and Upwork and all the various places. And one thing I'd like to share with you all is that ChatGPT, I have write all my cover letters because I'm not a creative writer. And at this point, I have 100% response rate from the individuals that I've sent my cover letter to, thanks to ChatGPT. So it was kind of an eye-opening experience to realize that, you know, obviously when you apply for a job, you want to have some experience, but the individuals who probably usually get chosen are the ones who also have really good writing skills, or were using people, you know, back in the day when they had copywriters writing, you know, cover letters for people or resumes for people. So that's been really interesting. And I mean, and statistics are easy to skew as well. I mean, when I say 100% return rate, that's 2 individuals that I've reached out to with my ChatGPT cover letter. So, yeah, I have sent out hundreds of emails, but the ones that have required a specific type of cover letter, I used ChatGPT for, and it wrote a beautiful cover letter on my behalf, and those individuals responded, but I didn't get the job. So yeah, a lot of computer time. And then in the evenings, it's wandering around, finding some good street food, having a few beers. And yeah, unfortunately not socializing as much as I'd like with the local population to improve my Spanish. But I'm also really content with that. My life is really peaceful, and I'll get around to it. I mean, at this point, I live here, and it's been a fun ride. And I'll share some more stories with you if you want to stick around. So trying to find a place was hard. Trying to find a place to live was very hard. Very high demand. The local population here, it's a very agricultural community. A lot of people are moving in trying to get jobs. And so places would go up for rent and then just get taken off the market really quick. And literally you just had to either be walking around looking for signs in windows or know somebody. And I spent hours on my friend's scooter just driving up and down the streets all through this little city looking for signs posted on windows that say for rent, and copying down phone numbers. And I mean, in the solid month and a half that I was looking, I think I found 2 that had a phone number and a for rent sign on it that I called, and nobody ever got back to me. And yeah, I was getting concerned, but luckily through that network of people that my friend Nick hooked me up with, one of them had a hot lead, which he threw my way, and I was able to get this really cool 3-bedroom, 1-bath, nice little kitchen, and nice little like salon sitting area that is perfect for me, and has room for, you know, friends to come stay if they want, and really good location as far as all the amenities are right across the street. You know, I have a hardware store. I have a fruit and vegetable stand. I have a little tienda where I can get pretty much everything. There's a great little taco stand. There's 2 little quickie marts that I can get some other cold drinks if I need. So everything's right here in walking distance, and the neighborhood's great. Everyone is so friendly, and my neighbors are awesome. a cute little older couple on one side, and then professional on the other side, and everyone's just super friendly, and it's fun. I love it. I mean, I feel so at home here and just so alive daily. I just pinch myself every day. I ride my scooter to the beach, just thinking this is exactly what I wanted to feel, to experience. I felt it for so many years in Nicaragua. I felt it all around the world, from, places I've been in Europe to, the backwater towns of like Nepal, India, Indonesia, and Russia. And there's just something for me magical about being in a culture that I'm not familiar with, learning about their norms, mores, and their way of doing things. And I can't get enough of it. I love it. I mean, I do remember after like 5 years in Nicaragua, the first 5, where I stayed without leaving that often, I felt like it was time to have a change. So I can see that probably happening, in like 4 to 5 years. But if I can sustain it here, I will. I'll stick around. But yeah, funny enough, like just not calculating how hard it was or how hard it is for me to create work online. It's been a consistent theme, as you've heard me talk about. Like I said in the beginning of the conversation, I was so sure of my ability to at least generate $200 to $400 a month through the freelance work that I had already generated some money with. And then having that kind of fall apart was frustrating. My unwillingness to do certain things I know I could make money at is frustrating. Like I know I probably could, get certified to teach English, but I'm just so apprehensive to do that. Like I talked about in 245 episode. Like I talked about in episode 245, the resistance that I had to get that job at the bakery was so strong, and I really had to push through it. So sometimes I question whether I need to just do the thing I don't want to do and start teaching English, or if I can make this online bookkeeping thing work, which is a skill set, like I said, that's a hard skill people need in their small businesses in the freelance world. So I think there is an opportunity there for me, and I would say, not mind it. There's aspects of it I even would say I enjoy when it comes to, organizing people's transactions. And I definitely know I do not like teaching English online, but sometimes I feel like maybe that would just be the easier thing. Because right now I'm in salesman mode. I have to cold email people and just try to figure out every way I can to get the message out there that I'm an individual who can help with books. I've sent over 300 and something emails to various small businesses, predominantly yoga studios and Pilates studios from San Francisco all the way down to San Diego. Just cold emails, finding them on Google, searching an area, just hitting up every single one. And yeah, if anyone's done it, it's hard. People usually already have a bookkeeper, or they're just not interested because it's a small business, so they do it on their own. But I'll keep at it. I, again, love it here. I'm motivated to stay, and it's just such a good life. The other thing I thought I was going to come down and do was course creation. Creating some other courses I've had on my mind for a little bit, little passion projects. And with my newfound living situation and the cost of living here, even though it's cheap, I had to buy everything for my house. So that meant, a stove and oven and various things that I would need for my new little, maybe YouTube cooking show. And it's just not in the cards right now. Don't have the money for it. So I had to put that on hold, and that's okay. I'm getting my baking satisfaction through other ways. I create little doughs for people, and then I take it to their place, and we'll bake little flatbread and stuff like that, which is fun, super cool. But yeah, it's been such an interesting road. Like I said, it's worked out from a living perspective and like a new home perspective way better than I ever thought it would. I mean, the house is perfect. The location is perfect. The town is perfect. The wave is perfect. I mean, everything about it is exactly what I hoped, and that's rare to have that happen, right? Have a fantasy actually come to life and have all your expectations being met. And then, contrast that with me not fulfilling the other side of that, which is finding a way that I could sustain it. I mean, my cost of living right now is $1,000 a month. It's not much, right? For a lot of people in America. And it's frustrating to think that in 4.5 months, I haven't figured a way to at least make half of that online, and then had a slower burn of my savings. But I haven't, and that's just the reality of it. And it's very clearly me and what I'm doing, and the jumping around from one thing to another, definitely doesn't help. But again, with the QuickBooks thing, that's a real thing. I don't necessarily need a lot of momentum with SEO and viewership on YouTube to get business from. It's just putting on my salesman hat and trying to get a few more clients. I got 2 right now, and that's good. Definitely need like 5 to 7, I would say, to make what I need to make per month. So yeah, fingers crossed. But a few other things that I've been thinking about would be cool would be getting a feel and a temperature from you all, and maybe seeing if, I have a background in running retreats. I ran surf retreats in Nicaragua for years, and I'm familiar with the structure of that, and I really believe in Mexico and how beautiful a place it is. And I wanted to throw it out there to you to see if any of you would like to come down for like a 5-day retreat. And I would run with my partners who also live in Mexico, a 5-day adventure retreat, yoga retreat, surf retreat, combination of all 3, and taking, maximum 4 to 6 people. So it's a very private, connective event where everyone feels like we have time to converse, and tons of questions can be asked, and goals can be set, and goals can be achieved, whether it's like just trying to stand up on a wave or do something you're afraid of or whatever it may be. I thought that could be really cool. I know I've talked to a good friend about it, Wallace, who I've mentioned in past episodes. Wallace, much love, brother. I know you're listening to this. So I kind of want to throw it out there to the rest of you to see if that'd be something interesting for you. If you have a desire to come to Mexico, or have a desire for adventure, or even, hey, maybe you are afraid of Mexico. Unfortunately, the media portrays Mexico in a very negative way in America, and it's unfortunate because I think it keeps a lot of people away from Mexico who would love it and find that it's just not how it's portrayed at all. And wondering if that's something that'd be interesting to you guys. So I will leave my email in the show notes, and you're welcome to fire me an email and give me your thoughts on that. And we can start a conversation, because, that could be really fun for everybody. I think that that transition from the States to Mexico was the right one for me. I have no thought that would make me think that I made the wrong decision. It's always like, yes, yes, yes. So that's a positive. I know that the common denominator of me not succeeding with online entrepreneurship is me. And I need to really dive into that and assess that. And again, from episode 245, dive into some of the resistance that I have towards doing certain things that I don't want to do when it comes to making money online. I think that if you're somebody who is finding themselves in a stuck situation as well, you can definitely go back to episode 245 and listen to how I got more unstuck emotionally. And now where I'm at now, finding myself to be in a very happy place, mentally, physically, in just such a good headspace that I'd love other people to feel this way too, and see just how powerful it could be to change locations. Changing locations for me is like the number one thing, I think, to find happiness. I know there's a lot of Eastern philosophical points of view that say you should be at least able to accept and be content in uncomfortable situations, and I do agree with that. I mean, in many ways, that's what I did back in the States, just knowing I didn't want to be there, but knowing I had to under the circumstances that I was in. But changing a person's location can be tremendously powerful. It's tremendously scary, especially when you go to a new place you don't know at all, but it's tremendously powerful and healthy for sure. So, love you guys. Miss y'all. Hit me up if you think that you'd like to come on a little Mexico adventure and we can talk details. Love to have you down here. You know, my business partners live in the area, and one is a therapist and a yoga instructor, so we can incorporate some really deep sort of conversations and sessions if you're somebody who needs that sort of thing into the retreat, as well as, you know, connecting in the ocean on surfboards, connecting in the jungle on beautiful hikes, connecting at night over dinner and drinks. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you guys, yeah, let me know. And anybody who reaches out, I will personally respond to, of course, and maybe organize, a Zoom call or something like that where I can get a feel for the pulse of all you beautiful misfits and rejects out there and try to put something on the books. And if there's a big enough response, then maybe I'll put a few on the books and we can all, get to know each other a little bit better. So thank you all for listening today. I think you all are so very beautiful, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Ciao. Awesome. Thank you again for joining me today, folks. Remember, if you'd like to become a supporter of Misfits and Rejects, you can head on over to patreon.com/Misfits and Rejects, or just look in the show notes and you will see a link to my Patreon page. Again, all donations are appreciated. Nothing is expected, from $1 all the way up to $25 and higher. Again, it makes such a difference for me and helping me continue to produce this podcast and continue to sustain my life here in Mexico. So I appreciate you, and thank you again to all my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you. It's so nice to see that extra income coming in every month. And again, if you like the idea of potentially coming down and joining me for a very unique retreat here in Mexico where we get to know each other and have some cool adventures, let me know. My email's down in the show notes as well. And you can fire me an email. We can either just communicate via email or jump into a Zoom call. That would be awesome as well. And lastly, if you're an investor and you think that Invert Container Company sounds pretty interesting, there's a link in the show notes for you to take a look at, and then you can send me an email, and I will happily send you more information on making that investment. Thank you again, folks. I think you all are so very beautiful, and I'll see you in another episode soon. Take care. Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Misfits and Rejects. I hope this inspires you to think about your life situation, where you're at, and possibly make a big decision to choose something different for yourself if you're unhappy with where you're at in life. I hope these people that I interview inspire you to go out, spread your wings, and try something new, to live a different lifestyle that maybe your whole life people were telling you was the wrong one, but when in fact it's the perfect one for you. And I'll see you next time.